For the latest on the South Carolina primary, I'm joined now by Gavin Jackson, host and public affairs reporter for public television station SCE-TV. Thanks for being with us. So you went to the polls this morning, talked to some of those early bird voters. What was on their mind?
Thanks, Hari. Yeah, I went to several polling locations in South Carolina, in Columbia, South Carolina, here in the central part of the state, and talked to a wide variety of people. And I remember talking to one woman early in the morning, and I asked her who she voted for, and she said, well, I was debating between my heart and my conscience, and my heart won. And her heart vote was for Senator Elizabeth Warren, but her brain was telling her that maybe she needs to think a little bit more strategically. But even then, she didn't know who she wanted to vote for because that was between former Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders. So people are thinking strategically down here in South Carolina, thinking to Super Tuesday and beyond, and thinking about that nomination and who can beat Donald Trump, because electability is the top issue on voters' minds down here. And people, overall, the folks that I talked to, black, white, were very big on, of course, backing whoever the nominee is going to be. Even if that's Senator Bernie Sanders, even though some folks I talked to were not very big on Senator Sanders and his proposals, they're there to get behind him if he's the nominee.
Do they see the importance of it playing out, given that there wasn't kind of, overwhelming victories in all the previous states? Do they know the kind of scrutiny and spotlight that they're under?
Yeah, definitely. South Carolina always plays kind of that determining role. There's some clarity. And it's funny because I did talk to our chairman of the Democratic Party here after the debate on Tuesday in Charleston. And I asked him, Trav, did we get any clarity tonight? And he said, no, but we'll have clarity at 7 p.m. on Saturday. So when the polls close tonight at 7 p.m., we'll definitely start getting some idea about who might be leading the pack here. Obviously, Bernie Sanders has that momentum coming in here, but Joe Biden polls are showing that he's having a pretty strong resurgence. A lot of people are crediting that to just Joe getting back on the ground here in South Carolina this past week. He was one of the few candidates that actually went to church here on this past Sunday, which is really kind of surprising when we're looking at how candidates are treating South Carolina this go around. I mean, several candidates aren't even in the state today. Even if they're, Bernie Sanders is not going to be in the state today. He might come in second place, but won't be giving a speech from South Carolina. Meanwhile, Joe Biden and Tom Steyer will be in the state. And so folks are noticing, they are paying attention. They watch that debate. They've been seeing ads on TV, of course, just, besieged by ads. And then also, voting with people that they've known. And when you see someone like Congressman Jim Clyburn giving that endorsement, folks take note of things like that, and they do vote with their heart.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about the endorsement of African Americans, prominent African Americans in South Carolina? How much of a sway does that have versus people recognizing a face or even just seeing one on TV?
And, I would say that those endorsements have been very important. We've seen a lot of black legislators get involved and back some major candidates, specifically Tom Steyer, which is another reason why we have been seeing Steyer do so well here in South Carolina, making those inroads with members of the black community, which is just so critical to winning South Carolina. And that's something we saw because Tom has been on the ground here a lot. He's been on the airwaves a lot. Like we've said, kids go on YouTube. They know who Tom Steyer is because his ads pre-roll all the time. So it's really just interesting to see just how much traction and saturation he's been getting and whether that will turn into votes. But yes, those endorsements matter because those filter out into the community with leaders, faith leaders, and others, and word gets around.
Finally, I want to ask, Donald Trump was there. As part of his strategy seems to be to go to these places where the votes are happening the night before the vote or the 2 nights before the vote. Any impact about that?
I don't think we've seen much of an impact from that, Hari. I think, I will tell you, I was editing a package the other day, and looking back to last fall when President Donald Trump was here in Columbia at a historically black college, the same weekend as a slate of Democratic presidential candidates were here to speak too. So that was the big ruffle, I think, and big impact that Donald Trump has had on this race so far. In terms of him coming to South Carolina, I think, obviously Republicans were pretty hyped up about that, but in terms of affecting the Democratic turnout, not so much. And I even talked to a Republican voter today who voted for Joe Biden, not Bernie Sanders, as so many have been talking about Republicans would be doing to affect this turnout, to help maybe propel Bernie Sanders to become the nominee. This man was saying Bernie Sanders is the worst thing for the country, so he wanted to make sure he was backing Joe Biden since we have open primaries here.
All right. Gavin Jackson of South Carolina ETV, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Hari.